MGU Rebuild Kit by 126 Vehicle Engineering. The MGU Rebuild Kit, designed by 126 Vehicle Engineering, is compatible for MG units from 2019 to 2024 on Ram 1500 Etorque trucks with the 5.7-liter Hemi engine. The rebuild kit is composed of a resolver stator, resolver rotor, pin removal tool, and a set of SKF bearings. The resolver only kit excludes the bearings. These replacement resolvers and rotor are electrically equivalent to the OE resolver rotor, which are commonly damaged during severe bearing wear cases. Here is an example of a damaged original equipment resolver and disintegrated original equipment resolver rotor. Upon close inspection, severe wear marks inside of the resolver can be observed. To replace the resolver, remove the back cover. 4 bolts on the back cover. On this unit, we have already replaced the resolver. If you are to replace the resolver, remove the retaining nut. Remove the resolver cover. Remove the resolver harness plug and the temperature sensor. You will then be able to remove the resolver out this way, as well as the resolver rotor. When replacing the resolver into the wiring harness, replace each pin by the exact same color. When replacing the resolver in the wiring harness, replace each pin by the wiring color, not by wiring position. Use our pin removal tool to remove the pins from the harness plug by pressing on top of each retaining tabs. When installing the new resolver, line up the resolver rotor with the keyway and install on the shaft. Replace the resolver in the same clocking position as the original. Install the resolver retaining ring. Before installing the resolver, it is good practice to check the isolation on the stator bus bars. The stator winding must not short out against the casing or the metal core of the stator. It is ideal to use a fluke isolation meter. However, it is less common for your DIY builders to have that ready. For a DIY rebuilder friendly demonstration, we will use a multimeter with the continuity mode and resistance mode. First, we will use the continuity mode. With one probe on the bus bar, check against multiple points on the motor casing. No continuity should be observed. If continuity is observed, there is a short in the stator. Please contact us to source a new stator. Next, turn your multimeter to resistance mode. If you have a multimeter that has multiple ranges, use 5 mega ohm or higher. We're looking for a high resistance between the bus bar terminal and the casing. Here we observe that the resistance reading is at least 1.6 mega ohm. This is a significantly high resistance value that we can determine that the isolation between the stator, here is a resistance reading of 1.6 mega ohm, which is a very high resistance reading. This is a sufficient resistance to determine that the isolation on the stator winding has not been damaged. When bearing replacement is necessary, which is almost a definite need in every single MGU rebuild, for every MGU rebuild, bearing replacement is necessary. To replace the bearings, remove each of the 4 screws holding the front and the rear casing of the MGU unit. Press out the bearings in the rear and the front of the MGU unit motor casing. Also, prior to removing the casing, disconnect the bus bars, the inverter retaining hardware, as well as the resolver harness plug.